Hello, this is Anne Whitaker here. I thought it might be a nice idea, since this is a new moon in Capricorn, trine Uranus and trine my ascendant, to read to you from my new book, Postcards to the Future, which is a collection of 60 essays, articles, and columns I've had published in different parts of the world over the last 25 years or so. I started the book with a preface called 6 Things I Love About Astrology. So here we go. 1, and this is a quote, first of all, from the Sleepwalkers by Arthur Koestler. 6,000 years ago, when the human mind was still half asleep, Chaldean priests were standing on their watchtowers, scanning the stars. I love knowing that the rational, mythical, symbolic, and empirical art of astrology has been around for at least 6,000 years. Our increasing contemporary awareness of the interconnectedness of all things was well known in antiquity. The ancient maxim, as above, so below, still applies. Astrologers operate on the margins of our fragmenting reductionist culture, but we represent an unbroken line to a time which in many ways was wiser than ours is now. Being a tiny thread in that weave gives me a deep sense of pride, connectedness, and rootedness. 2, I love being able to look out at the night sky, seeing the beauty of the lunar cycle and the visible planets in their ever-changing, ever-repeating patterns. Knowing that being an astrologer offers one the privilege of perceiving not only astronomy, but also symbolic meaning out there. I can still recall the exhilaration I felt on a freezing cold, clear night in January 1986 on a visit to the Outer Hebrides. My brother, a merchant navy captain, was able to point out Saturn to me, the first time I had ever seen that venerable planet with the naked eye. Saturn's meaning was also present that night. We were on our way back from the wake for an old uncle who had just died. 3, I love the fact that I started out as a dismisser of our ancient art and ended up its devoted practitioner. Having set out to confront my embarrassment at the inexplicable fascination I had developed for a subject which I considered to be beneath my intellectual consideration. This is the typical position of ignorance combined with arrogance, from which many people dismiss astrology, not realizing that there is a subject of great depth and power beyond the sun signs of astrology's public face. I embarked on a course of study with the Faculty of Astrological Studies in the early 1980s to prove to myself through study rather than ignorant dismissal that there was nothing in astrology, and have kept up an unbroken interest since then for over 40 years. 4, I love how literal astrology can be. Saturn met Neptune in November 1989, and the Berlin Wall came down. There was a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Libra in July 1969, when a huge cooperative effort of unique scientific endeavor put the first human on the moon. On the day Pluto first went into Sagittarius in January 1995, there was a massive earthquake in Japan, and the city of Kobe went up in flames. At that same time, John Paul II, the best-traveled pope ever, preached to an open-air audience of over 1 million people in Manila in the Philippines. To lower the tone somewhat, I was having lunch with a bank manager friend of mine on the day Saturn turned retrograde on my Scorpio IC on the 7th of March, 1985. For no apparent reason, being sober at the time, I passed out. Just as another bank manager and friend of my friend was passing the restaurant window, they both ended up carting me home between them. I love that story. Bank managers and banks, of course, are the province of Scorpio and Saturn, so it was very, very appropriate. 5, I love the impossibility of ever getting on top of or to the end of one's astrological studies. I've never applied myself to, e.g., Chinese or Hindu astrology, not yet feeling I have enough grasp of the Western tradition into which I was born. And you can do hundreds or thousands of horoscope readings, teach hundreds of classes with thousands of students, and someone will still come up with a manifestation of, for example, Venus combined with Saturn, or Mercury combined with Neptune, which you have never before come across or even thought of. And 6, I love astrology for the help it has given me and countless other people who are willing to look within and try to be honest about themselves in understanding the quirks and complexities, the gifts and pains of my personality and life pattern. My studies began as the next step in a lifelong quest to prove that our existence has some meaning, that we are not just butterflies randomly pinned to the board of fate, that we are each here because we have something unique to contribute to the big picture. Astrology has provided me with that proof. For that, and to that unbroken line of students and practitioners of our great art, stretching right back to those ancient Chaldeans on their watchtowers, I will be forever grateful. Thank you. This piece was written for World Astrology Day in March 2014, and it resonates for me just as much now. I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I hope you'll go out and buy the book. Bye.